The Switch ports of Pikmin 1 and 2 are very interesting. While they are mostly the same gameplay-wise, except for a few changes like skippable cutscenes being removed in Pikmin 2. However, there are several non-gameplay differences when compared to the GameCube and Wii originals. One of the biggest ones was a large amount of dialogue being completely redubbed for the Switch version. A lot of these changes are quite baffling and often over the top. These can range from minor changes to completely removing plot details and characters from the games. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe for high quality Pikmin videos weekly. Now, Pikmin 1 didn't receive that many dialogue changes, mainly due to it not being as edgy as other games, say like Pikmin 2. Most of this game's dialogue changes were to adjust for the changes in mechanics and controls for the Switch version. However, one piece of dialogue received a rather obtuse change, that being Olimar's log on the Mamuda. In the original game, Olimar said, "This seems to be a gentle, flower-loving creature, but if angered, it is fierce. Its mighty open-handed smack. It reminds me of the time back home when a mosquito landed on my head, and my wife tried to get it." This offensive comic mischief of Olimar getting smacked was removed in the Switch port, and I really don't get why. Having a fly land on someone and then smacking them accidentally is such an overdone joke throughout all types of media, it's practically impossible for anyone to find it offensive. It's also very clear that Olimar's wife did this on accident. It's not like she just intentionally started assaulting Olimar. It's a really random piece of censorship. I don't know who it's for, like maybe for the people that found the Three Stooges too much to handle. But overall, it is the only baffling change in Pikmin 1, and it is a small line of dialogue that barely anyone saw. It also had no impact on the characters or lore. Let's hope Pikmin 2 keeps up this trend. Alright, starting off with Pikmin 2, we have a piece of dialogue that was redubbed and it completely changes one of the characters and the lore. This one removes Louie's small backstory of being forced to eat bugs as a child by his grandmother. The original letter states that Louie hated to play outside, so his grandmother forced him to eat bugs and plants. This adds a bit of depth to Louie, as it shows that he was abused as a child and shows that his upbringing of being forced to eat bugs led to him being obsessed with them and crowning himself the king of bugs, which eventually inspired him to run off onto the planet alone. This turns Louie from a one-note maniac into an actual character. The Switch version melds with the original letter to make it much more favourable towards Louie's grandmother. Instead of forcing him to eat bugs and plants, she merely made Louie go outside with her and they, quote, ate a bug or two as we went. This is far less impactful than the original and ruins a part of Louie's backstory. Another notable change is the removal of all brands throughout the game. I'm sure everyone had that horrifying moment where they played Pikmin 2 on Switch and instead of a Duracell battery it was this horrible knockoff. In fairness, this isn't really Nintendo's fault, as they would have to renew every single license they filed originally in 2004, and it's really not worth the effort. There are also some other reasonable changes, such as the Aberreel Frippery and the Silencer's price tag of $666. While these are both really funny, they are pushing it a bit too far for a game rated 3+, so it's no wonder that they were changed. In fact, they were removed as early as the European GameCube releases of this game. Another strange detail in the Switch port of Pikmin 2 is the complete removal of some characters. In a mail, Louie's grandmother mentions calling over to his dad. The Switch port removes this detail for seemingly no reason, and this is the only time that Louie's dad has ever been mentioned in the series. Olimar also mentions his mother and father in notes about the priceless and worthless statues. He notably states that the cheap statue reminds him of his father and how he only misses his mother sometimes, which implies Olimar doesn't have the best relationship with his parents. This adds a small bit of detail to his character, which the Switch port axes for little to no reason as well. The game also changes some horribly offensive and outdated language in some mails. For instance, the president uses the horribly vile term slackers in this email, which is obviously unacceptable, and it's replaced by him politely telling Olimar to hurry up. In this spam email, they changed the sickening word of love with soul. Any more potty language in this video won't be allowed on YouTube. Another iconic spam mail was also completely redubbed over, that being the one where this mysterious individual asked Olimar out, which was replaced by a bland message on how your friends are good. They also changed the Space Love series of treasures name into the Celestial Vibes. I really want to know Nintendo's reasoning for removing every mention of the word love. Another change made to the Treasure Hoard article was the Love Nugget. I believe the word you're searching for is Vibe Nugget Nintendo.
Bitch!
This one is actually extremely weird because it doesn't censor the original, it just changes it to be more subtle. The original says that Olimar notices that the fruit is releasing simulating pheromones and then immediately states that he should give it to his wife. The Switch version changes it to where the joke is more subtle, but it's still there, which is especially strange because this is a line that could actually be perceived as offensive. Finally, they changed another plot detail of where Olimar's wife loses all her money. In the original release, it was because of her gambling with lottery tickets, but in the Switch version they changed it to her losing all of her income by a pickpocket. I think that the lottery ticket one makes more sense. Like, do you expect me to believe that a pickpocket just happened to steal the entire income from the Olimar family? It's more realistic that someone would go broke because of a gambling addiction. They also changed the line where Olimar's son brings up that Olimar's wife completely forgot to feed the family dog. Whoops! The final changes made to Pikmin 2 were to move gendered stereotypes. The Husband's Tears collection of treasures was renamed to the Expensive Sentiment, and its original description of "Women cry with joy, men just cry at the price" was changed to "Declare your love and bankruptcy all at once." The Gemstar Wife and Gemstar Husband also had their names changed. I kinda don't get why, because these don't really have any stereotypes, they just have the name husband and wife in them. There does seem to be a misconception that these treasures were changed to make them gender neutral, but it doesn't really seem to be the case because there's several other treasures with gender terms in their name that weren't changed. That is the large majority of changes made to Pikmin 1 and 2 on the Switch. Things like removing Louie's backstory and removing some characters completely, which is super strange. It felt really unnecessary as well, and it kind of dragged these ports down by a small bit. While it's not the biggest thing in the world and, you know, it has no effect on the actual gameplay of the game, it was kind of unnecessary. At least we'll always have the old versions of the game to play, where we can admire marijuana and skippable cutscenes in all of its glory.